used to drive late nights for extra money. It wasn't anything fancy, just delivering small packages between cities. Most of the time, the roads were empty, quiet, and honestly peaceful. But one night, everything changed. It was around 2:30 a.m. I was on a long stretch of highway between two small towns. No streetlights, no houses, just darkness and the faint hum of my engine. That's when the fog rolled in. Not slowly, not gradually. It was like I drove straight into a wall of it. Within seconds, my visibility dropped to almost nothing. My headlights bounced back at me, turning everything into a white blur. I slowed down immediately, gripping the steering wheel tighter. I remember thinking, this is bad, but I'll just drive through it. Then I saw something on the side of the road. At first, it was just a shape, a darker patch inside the fog. As I got closer, it looked like a person. Standing on the shoulder. Completely still. I slowed down even more. My first thought was that maybe someone's car broke down, maybe they needed help. But something felt off. They weren't waving. They weren't moving. They were just standing there, facing the road, facing me. I passed them slowly, and for a split second, my headlights lit up their face. I wish it didn't. Because they were smiling. Not a normal smile. Too wide, too still. And their eyes, they weren't blinking. I felt this cold rush through my chest. I kept driving. I told myself, don't stop, just keep going. But then, about 20 seconds later, I saw another figure. Same side of the road. Same position. Standing still. Smiling. My stomach dropped. There's no way two people would be standing like that in the middle of nowhere in this kind of fog. I pressed the gas a little harder. And then I saw a third one. This time closer to the road. Too close. I swerved slightly, my heart pounding now. That's when I realized something that made it even worse. They weren't random. They were spaced out. Like they were placed there. Waiting. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew one thing. I needed to get out of there. Then suddenly, headlights appeared behind me. Out of nowhere. A car. I hadn't seen it before, no lights, no sound. But now it was right behind me, too close. Tailgating. I looked in the rearview mirror, but the fog made it impossible to see the driver clearly. They flashed their high beams. Once. Twice. I didn't respond. They got closer. So close I could barely see the front of their car through my back window. And then they honked. A long, aggressive honk. I felt trapped. Figures on the roadside. Car behind me. Fog all around. Then I saw something ahead. Another person. But this time, they were standing in the middle of the road. I slammed the brakes. The car behind me honked again, louder this time. I had no choice. I swerved hard to the left, barely avoiding the person in the road. As I passed them, I turned my head just slightly. And I swear, they weren't alone. There were more shapes behind them, hidden in the fog. Dozens. Standing, watching. My heart was racing now. I didn't care about the delivery anymore. I just needed to escape. The car behind me suddenly sped up and pulled alongside me. For a moment we were side by side. I looked over. The driver didn't look at me. He was staring straight ahead. And his window was down. That's when I heard it. Faint voices. From inside his car. Whispering. Not one voice. Multiple. I couldn't understand the words, but I knew they weren't normal. Then he turned his head and smiled. Same smile. Same exact smile as the people on the road. I slammed the gas. My car struggled, but I pushed it harder. After what felt like forever, The fog started to thin, and just like that, everything was gone. No people, no car behind me, nothing, just an empty road. I didn't stop driving until I reached the next town. I never took that route again. But sometimes when I drive at night, and I see even a little bit of fog, I slow down, because a part of me still believes they're out there. This happened during winter a few years ago. I was working late shifts at a warehouse outside a small town. No public transport ran that late, so I usually walked about 20 minutes to my apartment. That night, the fog was already thick when I stepped outside. The kind of fog that makes everything feel wrong. Sounds were muffled, lights looked distant. Even familiar places felt unfamiliar. I pulled my jacket tighter and started walking. The road was empty. No cars, no people. Just the sound of my footsteps and the occasional drip of water somewhere in the distance. About halfway through my walk, I saw something strange. A bus stop. I slowed down, because I had walked this road every night for months, and I had never seen a bus stop there before. It looked old, rusted. The glass panels were dirty, almost opaque, and there was a bench inside. I stood there for a moment, confused. Did I just never notice it before? But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Then I saw someone sitting inside. A man, hunched over. I couldn't see his face clearly. He wasn't moving. I told myself it's just another person, maybe waiting for a ride. But something about it felt off. There were no buses at that hour. None. Still, I didn't want to be rude. As I walked past, I glanced inside. "Hey," I said quietly. No response. The man didn't move. Didn't even look up. I kept walking. But after a few steps, I heard something. A soft, dragging sound. Behind me. I froze, then slowly turned around. The man was now standing at the edge of the bus stop, facing me. I hadn't heard him stand up. Hadn't heard footsteps. Just that dragging sound. I felt this tightness in my chest. "Everything okay?" I asked. No answer. He just stood there. Then, he took a step forward. The dragging sound again. That's when I noticed. One of his legs wasn't moving properly. He was dragging it. Slowly. I backed up a little. "Look, I'm just heading home," I said. "Take care." I turned and started walking faster. Then I heard it again. Dragging. Closer. I didn't look back this time. I just kept walking. Faster. Then faster. My heart was pounding. The fog made it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. I could hear him now. Behind me. Getting closer. Dragging. Step. Dragging. Step. I broke into a run. My breath came out in sharp bursts. I didn't care how it looked, I just needed to get away. Then suddenly, I tripped, fell hard onto the pavement. Pain shot through my hands and knees. I scrambled to get up. And that's when I heard it. Right behind me. The dragging stopped. Silent. I slowly turned my head. He was there, standing just a few feet away. I could finally see his face. And I wish I hadn't. Because he wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me. Like I wasn't even there. Then he spoke. Softly. "Not you." My blood ran cold. Before I could react, he moved fast, not dragging anymore, running past me into the fog. I sat there frozen, confused, terrified. Then I heard something else ahead of me. Footsteps, multiple, coming closer. And then shapes, people, emerging from the fog. At least 4 or 5 of them, walking slowly, scanning the area, looking for something or someone. I didn't wait to find out. I got up and ran. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment. The next day, I went back. There was no bus stop. Nothing. Just an empty stretch of road. I even asked a coworker about it. He looked at me like I was crazy. Said there had never been a bus stop there. But sometimes when the fog rolls in late at night, I take a different route home. Because I don't think that man was chasing me. I think he was trying to warn me. This happened during a solo trip I took a couple of years ago. I rented a small cabin deep in a forest area. I wanted peace, silence, a break from everything. The first day was perfect. Quiet, calm. Exactly what I needed. But on the second night, the fog came, and it didn't leave. It surrounded the cabin completely. I couldn't see more than a few feet outside the windows. It felt like the world had shrunk, like the cabin was isolated from everything. At first it was relaxing, then it became unsettling, because the forest went silent. No birds, no insects, nothing, just stillness. Around midnight I heard something, a faint crunch, like footsteps on gravel. Outside, I froze, listened. Another step, then another. Slow, deliberate. Someone was outside. I turned off the lights immediately. My heart was pounding. Maybe it's just another traveler, maybe someone lost. But then I realized there were no other cabins nearby. I stayed still, barely breathing. The footsteps circled the cabin, slowly, like they were inspecting it. Then they stopped, right outside the front door. Silence. Then, a knock. 3 slow knocks. I didn't move. Didn't respond. Another knock. This time louder. Then a voice. Calm, controlled. Hello. I stayed quiet. Your car's lights are on, the voice said. They're going to drain your battery. I frowned. My car was parked behind the cabin, and I knew for a fact. The lights were off. I didn't answer. A long pause. Then, open the door. Not a request. A command. I backed away slowly. My chest felt tight. Then I heard something that made it worse. Another set of footsteps. From the side of the cabin. Then another. From behind. Multiple people. They weren't alone. They had surrounded the cabin. I moved quietly to the window, peeked through the curtain, and saw shadows, moving in the fog. At least 3, maybe more. My hands were shaking now. Then, a loud bang on the door. Open it. The voice was aggressive now. Different. Angry. I stepped back. Then something hit the window. Hard. I flinched. Another hit. Glass cracked slightly. They were trying to get in. I looked around desperately. There was no signal on my phone. No way to call for help. Another bang. The door shook. Last warning. I knew they would break in. It was just a matter of time. Then I remembered something. The back of the cabin. There was a small exit. I moved quietly, trying not to make noise. The banging continued. Louder now. More aggressive. I reached the back door. Opened it slowly. The fog was thick, but it was my only chance. I stepped out, closed it gently, and ran. I didn't look back. Branches scratched my arms. The ground was uneven, but I kept running. Then I heard them, behind me, shouting. They had realized I was gone. Footsteps, multiple, chasing. I pushed myself harder. My lungs burned. My legs felt weak. But I didn't stop. I ran until I saw something ahead. A faint light. A road. I stumbled onto it, gasping for air. A car approached. I waved frantically. It stopped. I got in. The driver looked at me, confused. What happened? I could barely speak. Cabin people, they tried to break in. He frowned. What cabin? I pointed back into the fog. There. But the fog had swallowed everything. He shook his head. There are no cabins out here. My stomach dropped. I stayed silent the rest of the ride. The next day, I went to the local office where I booked the cabin. They had no record of my reservation. No listing. Nothing. It was like it never existed. But I know what I experienced. And sometimes late at night, when I hear footsteps outside my window, I remember that voice. Calm at first, then angry, telling me to open the door.